Good afternoon, hello, welcome to Rezzed. I'm Martin from Eurogamer, and you're not here to see me, you're here to see what I think I can safely say is going to be 2013's best elephant bowling simulator. It's Rome Total War.
Thank you everyone. I'm Al Bickham from the Creative Assembly, and today we're going to show you some campaign map gameplay from Rome 2, and we're going to show you some battle footage as well. So as you know, Rome 2 is Rome 2 is the biggest Total War game, most ambitious Total War game we've ever made. The campaign map alone is 4 times the size of the campaign map in Shogun 2. It's a really big, ambitious title. We've got tons of new features, and we'll start off with that with the campaign map for Rome 2. So what you're seeing here is the area of North Africa. And this chap here is Julius Caesar himself. He's one of our generals. We're playing as Rome as the House of Julia. That's our faction choice in this game. We're about 200 turns into a campaign game. And what we've done here is committed a bit of a diplomatic faux pas because we've marched Caesar and the 13th Legion of Rome into Egypt. And we were previously friends with Egypt, so it was a bit of a stupid thing to do. And what's happened is Egypt has broken off their trade agreement with us, which was a very lucrative deal, this trade agreement we used to have with Egypt. We used to bring a lot of coin in. Now, we've expanded our empire pretty quickly. You can see some of the red markings on the map here. That's our territory. And we've been playing a very expansionist game, a very, very territorial, combative game, and we haven't really been tending to our civic matters. So we haven't been upgrading our farms, so our people are starting to go hungry, and hungry people get angry, and angry people rebel. So, you know, we want to try and fix this problem, reinvigorate our economy in some way. So if we hop up to the campaign overview map, you can see in a bit more detail the sheer scope of the Rome 2 map. We're stretched right over from Spain and Portugal here, right over to the province of Bactria, which is, you know, like modern-day Afghanistan. And you can see our empire has expanded quite significantly here from our humble beginnings in Rome and Italy itself. We've pushed over into Spain, we've pushed north into the barbarian tribal lands of Gaul and Germania. We've got a foothold in North Africa here, and we're starting to expand east and meet some of the sort of really interesting exotic eastern kingdoms over here as well. So, you know, we've grown quite a lot, and we've grown quite quickly, and we really need to, you know, as I say, reinvigorate our economy in some way. So there's ways we can deal with population happiness on at least a local level. Now, we have this new system of parceling up land into sort of management nodes on the map called the province system, whereas previously in Total War, every province had a city in it, which was a management node. Now what we have is a number of regions which make up a single province. Each of those has its own settlement or city in it. They're all conquerable, they all produce resources. But there's only one capital city for that province, so you need to capture that to be able to manage that province. And once you own every region in a province, including the capital city, you can, one of the things you can do is you can play edicts. Now, edicts are sort of ongoing policies that work across that province. So they're ways of buffing your province, of managing your province. So what we're going to do here is we're going to endorse festivities in this province, Silesia, in the capital city of Tarsus. Now, what this is doing is it's effectively, this edict is us as Rome throwing money at this province to go party, go and have a good time, drink lots of wine, host some gladiatorial games, and make some crackly noises. Sorry. Hi. Oh, my voice is gone. No. How are we doing? Shall I carry on? Okay. So now this province will enjoy increased happiness turn by turn as a result of this. But of course, this is only working on a local level. We still need to find a way to improve our farms and make our people happy all over the empire again. So a new feature of Rome 2 is politics. So what we're going to go is into our faction management screen here. Now, while we still have diplomacy in Rome 2, that's you obviously, you know, negotiating with factions outside your own. We also have politics, which is a representation of the internal power struggle of your faction. Now, as a Rome player, as we're playing as the faction of Rome, as the House of Julia, there are 2 other political entities represented here, the House of Cornelia and the House of Junia. Now, all of these, including us, are vying for political power. We're all vying to be the controllers of Rome, the controllers for armies, the controllers of all her kind of civic choices. So as the player, we're obviously, you know, the ruling house. Now, you can see the house leader here and all the generals and senators underneath him. All these characters combine their ambition and gravitas ratings, which generate a resource currency we call political capital, represented by these sort of bars on the left here. Now, as this builds up over time, you can expend it on certain actions between you and the other families. You can expend your political capital to, say, marry off one of your daughters to one of the other great houses to balance the power between your houses, to bring you closer together. We could attempt to adopt a son from another house. Bring one of their generals under our influence and under our control ultimately as well. But you can also expend your political capital on dealing with subjects. So over here you can see a subject. These are sort of characters of interest who appear over time. They're a mixture of historical characters, real characters we've pulled from history, and sort of flavor characters we've created ourselves. And this one here, Marcus Tullius Cicero, is a good example. He's a disgruntled senator. He is a rabid anti-Caesarite. He's been railing against us in the Senate House. So we have a number of ways that we can deal with him, represented here. So we could spend some political capital to support him, which is obviously a terrible idea because he's working against us. We could attempt to extort some money out of him, which isn't really relevant here. Maybe if he was a rich trader, we could attempt that. We could attempt to discredit him, or we could simply attempt to assassinate him. And we're playing the ruthless Romans, so send in the blades. Right, so Cicero is dead. Yeah, he's down. Now, if that assassination attempt hadn't worked for any reason, if it hadn't come off, he may have redoubled his efforts against us in the Senate and started really reducing our political capital over time. We'd have to find a new way of dealing with him. So what we're going to do is jump over to Alexandria again in North Africa and take a look at the campaign map features in a bit more detail. So you can see it's quite a rich environment. We've got plenty of flora and fauna. We've got camels here and elephants over just to the side of this forest here. These are sort of nice features of the campaign, but they also represent the kind of units you're likely to be able to recruit, the kind of exotic battlefield units you'll be able to recruit here. And you can also see some of the great wonders of the ancient world represented here. We've got the lighthouse at Alexandria. We've got the Great Pyramids of Giza here. And again, these aren't just eye candy. They have a physical effect. If you own the province that one of the great wonders is in, then they will confer kind of local and global series of buffs to your empire in some way. So the pyramids, for example, give us a buff to our construction ability, but they also give us a tick over income year by year because, believe it or not, even back then, they were a popular tourist destination for wealthy visitors. So, but as you play the game, as you expand your cities, over time you'll see the campaign map develop. You'll see it expand. So if we slide over to Syria, we can show that in a bit more detail. So what Craig's going to do here is he's going to expand this city to create a new construction slot. Now, as you can see, the city is literally growing before our eyes. Now it's created more space. We can build more buildings in the city now. So we're going to go ahead and build a shrine to Mars, which is a temple which will instill the fervor of the war god upon any recruits recruited in this city. So they'll have a strong morale boost if they're recruited there. But you can see we've expanded this city slightly. I mean, this could expand 3 or 4 more times, to become quite large. You can see the effect of urban growth here. You can see sort of urban sprawl, shantytowns appearing outside the city walls. The way we're playing is starting to impact the campaign map and change the way it looks. And if we travel over to Germania in Northern Europe, to the tribal homelands of the Swabi tribe, we can see this in a bit more detail here as well. So this is a much more agriculturally focused city. You can see a large farm complex beginning here. Around the outside, it's a very different area. It's Northern Europe. It's colder. It's heavily forested. You can hear the wind blowing. Occasionally, you hear wolves howl in the woodlands there. It's a very different look and feel for a very different culture and a very, very different way of playing. But these forests will be consumed over time as that city grows and expands. You'll start to see the forests get cut down. And if we take a look at the city itself, you can see this is a very different architectural style over here, a very different cultural style. It's more about kind of huts and longhouses, standing stones, rather than the sort of pillars and columns and porticos of Greco-Roman culture. And this represents, I think, how different not only the look and feel are, but how different these guys are to play, because there's many factors about them which provide variety between the different cultures. So what we're going to do is jump back to Alexandria again. We're going to attempt one last diplomatic parley with Egypt and see if we can get trade back on the table. So here Craig is hovering over the new relations panel. This is a new aspect to diplomacy. And what this is a list of our actions by which this AI is judging us when it comes to diplomatic negotiations. And, Rome 2, what we want to do is provide a lot greater transparency to the player about the AI's decision-making process and why it's deciding to declare war on you or why it's trying so hard to trade with you. This list here is, is generated by us as a player. So we've committed war atrocities against Macedon. We've marched into the Macedonian lands. We've crushed a couple of their cities. We've taken their slaves to bolster our own economy. Egypt love that. They're at war with Macedon, so that's all good for them. But of course, we've trespassed on Egyptian territory. We've marched into their land under arms. It's a massive negative diplomatic modifier to that. Pretty obvious reasons. So on balance, they're unfriendly towards us. So we've got a pretty good idea that diplomacy might not work at this point. But of course, factional AI has a personality as well. Each faction on the map, each kind of power block on the map has its own kind of diplomatic personality. Some are more amenable to diplomacy, some are more aggressive or expansionist. So we can still hope that Egypt is willing to parley. So what we're going to try and do is throw a trade agreement back on the table. We'll give it a go. Very polite words from the diplomat there. So trade agreement is on the table. We're also going to attempt to make a client state of Egypt, which isn't necessarily the indentured servitude you might imagine it to be. Yes, they will pay us a stipend year after year, but it's essentially a protection racket. They will get our military support whenever they call for it. We'll be honor bound to honor this agreement. We know Egypt is surrounded as well. It's got wars of its own going on. So that could be a really useful kind of tool to help them. So let's give it a go. Let's see if they go for it.
I will not shadow Pharaoh's ears. May blessings fall on him with this proposal. Consider your words rejected.
So that's a definite no. Diplomacy's off. At least he was nice about it. So we need to find another way to unlock the riches of Alexandria, and this is a total war game, so I think our next best course of action is a military one. So what we're going to do is take a look at Caesar and the 13th Legion. Now, armies have changed quite significantly in Rome too. We want people to be thinking like a Caesar or a Hannibal in Rome too. We don't want them to be thinking about individual units and micromanaging them across the campaign map to meet up with, this army over here and grow. Like, we want people to be thinking in terms of legions. And to reflect this, we have a new system, a new legion system. So you can see in this panel, in the army management panel here, armies now as a whole gain experience as they fight. As they win or even lose battles, they gain experience, they gain ranks. As they gain ranks, we can then issue traditions to that army. Traditions are kind of ongoing, permanent buffs to aspects of the army's ability to fight. So, for example, we've given them indomitable legionaries, which is a good solid buff to their heavy infantry units, melee abilities. So that's perfect for Romans because they're all about the heavy infantry. So now, you can apply up to 10 of these because you can rank up 10 times, and there's a massive pool of these you can choose from. Or you can just maybe apply 3 traditions and really upgrade them because you can spend your ranks on upgrading existing traditions as well. And in this way, you can build an army that's kind of generally good at fighting in a lot of areas, or you can really, really focus its abilities. We could, for example, apply siegecraft specific traditions to this army and upgrade them and turn this army into our principal city cracker on the front lines of our kind of expansion on the map, So you can really focus and personalize that army and mold it into the fighting force you want it to be. You can see their history is marked out here, their various wins and losses and how long they've been around. We can change the emblem, we can change the name of the army if we wish as well. You can really personalize the armies in Rome too. And the beauty of this system, hello, Rezzed. So the beauty of this system is that if your army here, if the 13th Legion, the worst were to happen, it was crushed in battle, that's not the end of the Legion. We could head back to Rome and we could raise the banner of the 13th Legion again, pack a new army in underneath it with a new general. And while those guys on an individual unit level will be green recruits, on a Legion level, they will still gain the benefit of all those traditions we've worked so hard to build up. The Legion lives on beyond the individual members of itself. It lives on through history. These traditions are the way it's training its troops over time. So, there's a sense of legacy to this, which carries on throughout your entire campaign game. The general himself as well, it can be obviously upgraded. We've always had that in Rome, but in Total War, but we've done away with the kind of simplistic skill trees of Shogun 2, and we now have a massive pool of skills which can be, again, upgraded in the same way as army traditions. You know, we can really focus our general to do specific things or be a great all-rounder at commanding his troops. So he'll gain traits over time as well, as he has victories and performs heroic deeds. And he'll also collect ancillaries as he goes as well, sort of retinue members that will buff certain aspects of his skill. Now we've really streamlined recruitment in Rome 2 as well. So before, you know, you'd build a unit of archers, you'd micromanage them across the map to meet up with another army. Now you do all your recruitment from directly within the army management screen here. So if you're in friendly territory, of course, you can recruit any of your core unit types. Your army will sit there, go into muster mode, and produce troops. But wherever you are in the world, you can hire mercenaries. So in North Africa here, in Egypt, we've got some pretty exotic units available to us compared to what we normally hire. So we could hire some Egyptian swordsmen, some camel archers here, or some war elephants. And yeah, who doesn't want 10 tons of muscle and tusk trampling their enemies to jam? So let's go ahead and hire some of those. And all right, we're ready for battle. But just before we send Caesar in to attack Egypt, we're just going to point this guy out here. He's one of the new agent types. This guy's a champion. He's a sort of fearless lone warrior. He can work in a kind of guerrilla fashion. He can be sent to harry armies out on the campaign map here. He can reduce their morale and reduce their unit count. But he can also be embedded with a friendly army and act as a kind of drill sergeant, a drill instructor. So that army's troops will gain experience at a faster rate over time. So he's really a really useful guy. If you're Egypt, he's not useful to us, so we kind of want to get away from him. We don't want him whittling our forces down before we declare war on Egypt. So let's declare war on Egypt.
We hunger for battle.
Yeah. Right, we're going to send him in. Now you can see there's a couple of navies in the locale of this battle. Now this means because they're within the catchment area of this battle, they'll be drawn in and we'll see one of these combined battles, which is one of our new battle types in Rome 2, which we haven't had in Total War before. So, you know, literally land units and naval units on the same battlefield. This is the battle we've got out on the show floor there. So we're just going to have a quick run through of the Egypt side of that battle now. And I'm going to take a seat here and try not to lose, and these guys here are going to mock me as I do.
Indeed. You're going to be playing out the great battle of Hello Rezzed versus the cast of Horus. So
Yeah, the Hello Rezzed army is out in force.
yes. So hey Birmingham. What's
Hey,
up?
Birmingham, let's
What's up,
go.
guys?
Woo! Yeah.
This is kind of this is our second kind of pseudo Rally Point Live. So
How's everyone's Rezzed? Going well? Going well? Yeah.
if you guys haven't been by the
See happy
stand,
faces.
if you guys haven't been by the, I'm going to cut you off a bunch of times.
That's fine, it's fine.
If you guys haven't been by the stand to have a crack at the battle, then please do, because we are going to be shamelessly judging Al on this one.
Al, are you going to play as Rome or Egypt?
No, I'm going to play as Egypt.
Oh, you
yeah,
can play as Egypt.
I am going to play as Egypt.
Uh,
It's the easy one.
Okay, so Egypt starts off with a massive hill, and basically Al's going to sit on top of there and camp.
so don't mess it up, Al. You know, no pressure.
Yeah, but they've got some really cool units. They've got side chariots, war
Oh, so
elephants.
chariots going downhill at full tilt.
Yeah, lots of cool
Yes.
stuff.
We got Al's burning balls.
Al's burning balls.
A massive, huge heap of hay and tar just wrapped together that they can let set on fire and punt down the hill.
They are quite a handful.
Wow, you can't really continue from that.
Killed it, sorry. Yeah, so this is actually, if we actually play on a campaign and you have a fight in this actual tile, then this is the battle map that will be generated. It's also
Yeah.
going to be one of the historical battles in the game as well.
And if you've got navies nearby, that will trigger an amphibious battle.
Yes.
So, while it's easier as Egypt, hint, Al, hint, you still have, you have to manage both your navy and military at the same time, and it can be a bit nerve-wracking.
I don't know if anyone caught the stream yesterday, but Al actually managed to send some burning balls into the back of his own chariot units. So,
Yeah,
So,
I'm not
friendly fire
proud.
incident.
I'm not proud, no. Sorry, we're just loading. We'll be a second.
we're just loading.
We're good.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite, Egypt or Rome?
Egypt do have the fun. I love war elephants. It's just a few £100 of muscle and tusk ruffle stomping their way around the map. regardless of what they're doing, even when they rout, they ruffle stomp. Usually through your own guys, which ends up with this messy kind of like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, loose formation all the way if you're playing as Rome as well. Just
Yeah.
kind of spread those guys out. Ballistae will come firing down, just kind of, spread it out.
But Roman War Machine are pros. Like, when in doubt, Tetsudo out.
That's
and
it.
just
Go full turtle on it, yeah.
never go full turtle. Wow, you can't continue for that one either.
I've got nothing.
Oh man, wouldn't it be weird if this was going out live?
We'll get there eventually, guys. Just having a few technical issues.
Yeah. Won't be a sec.
We are staring at the screen.
Wow, it's like Screenception. You guys watching us, watching a battle load. That's a first.
So Rome 2 is out on PC on September the 3rd, 2013.
But yes, seriously, if you guys haven't had a chance, come stop by the stand. We've got loads of the team. You'll be able to ask these guys questions in a little bit once we get this over. So if you don't get a chance to ask your question, come by, bother us personally. We can't actually leave the stand, so it's an easy target.
We are not in loose formation on the stand.
Sorry, just having a couple of minor technical difficulties here. Won't be a sec.
Worst case, we can do questions.
Hey, Will, do you remember the time we were at Rezzed and we were live on stage and this happened?
No, yes. Wow, okay. Okay, well, while things are going down, one of the cool things about this battle is we were trying to put together something that was both interesting for people who'd never played Total War and people who really knew their stuff. So the Rome versus Egypt is quite cool. If you've never come across Total War, if you're new to strategy games, Egypt starts on the hill, you've got your artillery, you've got your funky units, you've got a nice position. There's no changes to unit balancing, there's no hacks, you're just on a hill with some cool stuff. With Rome, you've got to go for this kind of hamburger hill style hill assault.
Rome is challenge mode, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yes!
We have a battle!
Yes!
Yes! Come on!
Can we get a cheer for a start battle, please? Thank you!
Start battle!
Thank you!
Defensive position on the hill. Maintain the high ground and the advantage it offers at all costs. Our war elephants and the size of chariots will smash through their front lines as they approach. Our ballistae will rain down the fires of Zeus and upon the Roman fleet attacks from the south. Beware, as they may disembark troops to bolster their land forces. However, our ships stand ready to intercept. Armed with ballistae and our finest archers, they are more than a match for the Roman fleet. Our first priority should be to send them forwards. The Romans defense, all pomp and spectacle. Let us show them how a real army fights. Smash them into the river.
Okay, so you can see some of Al's cool units here. He's got the pikemen, he's got the archers with the burning balls, he's got elephants.
Yes!
Their flanks are secure.
Complete with war paint on the front. I mean, the detail's crazy. Oh,
Oh,
Jesus!
So his ballistae are really, really devastating. If you can use, if you're playing as Egypt, use your ballistae because they are really, really powerful.
It's
They're
worth
fantastic.
pointing out that this is quite a late campaign battle, so there'd be quite a few buffs in terms of skills and things like that to the ballistae and how they were firing. Now, can we not ignore the Navy this time, Al? Can we...
Al's navy sank last time, so Al's at the moment, he's sending his ships to deal with these Roman ships, so they don't disembark or provide fire support onto the land.
Yeah. This is blocking the Romans from kind of pulling a pincer maneuver and wiping out Al's artillery. Oh, they're picking up speed.
Are you going to go for a ram, Al?
I am.
Okay, so
Come on, Al.
naval units can ram now as well, and if they've got a lot of mass behind them, then they can be quite devastating. So he's using his flagship here. Go on.
Go on.
Oh, scraped it. Oh, Al. Oh, scrape.
That was a scraper.
That was a scraper. Now back on the land battle, you can see pyramids. Lovely pyramids in the background there.
Oh yeah, the beautiful pyramids of Giza in the background there, just in case you're not paying attention to the battle.
So I can see Al is selecting his ballistae. Those guys, they're the guys who are going to die.
Oh! They're not, no, that does not grow back.
Those shields are not going to help.
Shields, good against arrows, less good against whatever it is they're throwing down there. And can we also not set our own chariots on fire this time? Is that okay? Would that be alright?
Deploy the chariot.
The chariots are waiting!
The chariot downhill. It's quite hard to see, but just the sheer steep hill and just the impact. Not a lot of those guys may have been killed, but if the guy in front of you in heavy armor has bashed into you, then that's going to cause you to fall on your ass.
The balls are out.
Repeat, the balls are out.
Down they go. Come on. Yes!
Oh,
Oh, elephants in the back as well. Trampling the
oh yeah,
road
the
guys.
elephants.
Yeah.
That'll slow him down nicely. Actually, no, it didn't slow him down at all. What? Al?
Uh-oh.
Al's going. Oh, jeez! Al!
Ow! Oh.
Return the favour.
Oh, man.
That's
So elephants have this kind of internal rage meter as well, which builds over time as they get attacked. And if they flip out, they will flip out big time.
And if you can see how this big kind of mosh pit's starting to happen as the lines are crushing, if your elephants decide they're going to stamp through your own people as well, I mean, that could turn the entire fight.
Yeah, it's quite a trade-off with elephants.
Oh, jeez. That's a little cavalry charge into infantry there.
When you're playing this for yourselves as well, look out for flanking. Try and flank the enemy as much as possible. You get nice bonuses for hitting in the side and in the rear.
Yeah. A cheeky flank can win you the battle. Someone laughed at that, sorry. So the naval fight is going good this time. Last time we were here, it was basically just a circular pool of dead sailors.
One guy's on
might be a bit
fire.
friendly fire.
Was one guy on fire?
There's a guy on fire.
Are you setting your own guys on fire? Why are you doing that?
Yes.
Yes.
Smash them.
If anyone asks, those sailors died valiantly doing something impressive, so yes.
Okay, give it a go for yourselves. Try it out on the show floor. Play as Egypt if you've never played a Total War game before, you're not too familiar with it. Play as Rome if you want a hardcore challenge. It's really good. It's really
And
tough.
can't even say
Really
hi,
good.
Addy. So big hand to Al for not burning his
Thank
own
you,
troops
Al.
alive.
Okay. So we are now going to do a magical panel Q&A with some of the guys from the Creative Assembly. So I would like to welcome on stage, please, Pavel Voice, the lead battlefield artist for Rome 2.
Gets his own chair.
We've got Julian McKinley, Battle AI programmer on Rome 2.
Yep.
Come sit on this end.
I'm just going to keep mentioning the product name. Wittawa Ike, graphics programmer on Rome 2. And Al himself, studio communication manager, Al Bickham, right there. On Rome 2. Okay, so can we take some questions from the floor, please? Who's got a juicy question? Let's get one from this side first, please. We've got a gentleman just over there. I've got a microphone on its way to your location right now. First class post.
All right, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, bloody fantastic game up there. My question is for the AI programmer. So with the factions they have going now, are factions going to try and preserve themselves more, like be more inclined to be vassals and not do stupid things like force you to attack their army camp down in their city every single time?
So unfortunately, we don't have a representative here from the campaign AI, but I can tell you that they have been working quite extensively on improving the diplomacy and sort of the way that the AI will reason about how it interacts with the players' factions and indeed all the other factions. I'm not sure about the vassal option. If it's still in the game, I'm sure they've been working hard on improving how the AI works with it. Is it?
Oh, on the battle side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. This is a campaign AI question.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I think, is that still working on?
Yep.
Yeah, on the campaign side, it's more about how, a lot of the focus has been more about how the factional AIs feel about things that aren't necessarily directly affecting them, but are affecting their allies or their enemies. So they think a bit further out. So what you get is a more realistic feel for how the AI is treating you in the world because it knows certain things are going on around you. I mean, I pointed out the relations meter there. So it's constantly, each faction is constantly thinking about all those aspects of every other faction. It's making a list. It's keeping a history book of your actions and judging you by it, and it'll do that for all the other factions. So there's a real sense of, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because the faction's thinking further out about what it's doing, you know, about what the other factions are doing.
Hey, thank you. Good question.
Very impressive. Thank you. I had a battle AI mention. I'm rubbish at naval battles, and my fleet got sunk when I played as Rome. You got a good AI going there for the battles, so good job.
Thanks. Okay, can we take a question from this side of the room, please? Who's got one? Anyone? Anyone for anyone? Come on. No one? Oh, we've got a guy in the back there. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, obvious one, easy one. Assassination videos, question mark. You know, I really like them in the ones that they've been in. Just noticed they weren't in there, but I know they weren't in the original Rome, so it's not a big deal, but just wondering. Yeah. And then the other one is my constant mantra, like education, education, education. I hear that you have been talking about it maybe, like different applications, and if any of you got anything to say on that, that'd be cool from my point of view, as a school librarian who wants to put Rome in his library. I'm going to put your book in the library, definitely. I think that's brilliant, you're releasing a book at the same time. Like, I can link that in terms of, like, franchises, kids following the franchise of the game to the book, and increasing literacy and learning history. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
That's me.
So on the educational side, I mean, we make a game, so we don't specifically set out to educate, but as you probably know, we do an enormous amount of research especially in pre-production and, well, throughout the entire development cycle of a game, into making sure that the elements of history we're representing are authentic. Now, that doesn't, of course, apply to the great sweep of the game, because it's a game about player agency. It's a big sandbox world in which you go out and make your empire or destroy other empires. So, you know, you're not following the exact line of history. So from that aspect, we're not presenting a game that follows history exactly, because it's your choice and it's the factional AI choice, you know, about what's happening in the world. But yeah, we aim for authenticity, historical authenticity with all the other kind of aspects of the game that we look at. You know, the kind of uniforms that were worn, the weapons that were used, and the way in which those units were used, the kind of cultural personalities of different factions. So obviously we represent that as closely as we can. So if that helps you in any way, that's really happy. Yeah,
but obviously, it's
really
a great
nice
way to get excited about history, right? I mean,
exactly. I would like to add on that as well. Inspiration, I think. Then your kids, your student, gonna start reading about history and maybe like want to know who's a cool general they want to recruit next time and stuff like that. Yeah. That exactly happened to me. So
it puts a sort of face and a reality of that history. It kind of gives you that kind of a great reference point, rather than just some words in a book. You know, you can this is how you can start and then get interested in that stuff. You know?
The systems, like using the systems as a tool of learning, because it's like, it's a systemic view of history, and actually that's really valuable, because most resources obviously present a very linear, and like, I'm not agreeing with Michael Gove that it's just names and dates that matter in history. I think it's systems and understanding how civilizations worked and produced like the way the ancient world worked, and I think that games are fantastic at doing that, and you can't get in any other medium. But that's my opinion. Yeah,
Thank you.
Assassination videos?
Oh, you snuck it in there.
Well, we have videos for a number of events, not necessarily for assassinations. We've got a lot of very beautiful artwork that's shown in for a lot of outcomes of a lot of things like dilemmas and things. So it's a mixture of videos and artwork for, you know, resolutions to situations throughout the game. But no, we don't have videos for absolutely everything.
Okay, let's bounce back over to the left side of the room. Any questions? Got one at the back over there, thanks.
Hi, I've not seen much on sieges, but you know when you're sieging and you're doing a piece of siege equipment against the wall, is it still set pieces that you can attack? So for, I know in Empire, if you were attacking a gate, it was only a set piece of artillery could attack a gate, and henceforth, or certain parts of the wall. Is it more free-form now, or?
It's a lot more free-form than it was. So there are certain situations where a particular wall might not be breachable or dockable, but 95% of the time you can attack, breach, or dock to any position on the wall. the AI will do so as well. So there's a big system now for the AI to sort of analyze different positions. It looks at every sort of piece of wall individually and assesses whether or not that's a good place to attack, to breach, and it will react to what the player is doing inside.
And you have specific weapons as well for different uses. So you have rams for taking out gates. You've got siege towers and ladders for climbing walls. So you do have different engines and weapons for different purposes.
Compared to Siege Battle in Shogun 2, I think we got more variety this time.
Yeah,
Definitely more variety.
Okay, any more questions on the right side? We've got loads of hands now. Where were you guys before?
What are the start and end dates for the game?
So we start around 272 BC, is that right? And, well, there isn't a set end date. You play until you win in some way. What I can say is there are a number of different victory conditions now, not just necessarily about capturing a specific set amount of territories. You could win a cultural or an economic victory instead, for example.
So a very brief follow-up question would be, are you, for example, addressing the Roman Civil War and
Sorry,
Sulla?
say again?
Are you going to be addressing people like Sulla and Marius? Or is it going to be more free-form, typical Total War play?
Yeah, it's again, like any Total War game, we start at an accurate place in history with accurately represented kind of start positions for each of the factions. After that, you rather counterfactually generate your own history as you go through the game. But we are putting certain dilemmas in place that will appear over time, which reflect things that did happen in history at those particular times. So we bring a lot more flavour into the campaign game by doing that. By bringing more kind of historical events that occur that challenge you to make a choice. So.
Thanks.
Okay, we had quite a few questions on this side, so if we take another one.
Actually, I just realized something that related to educational and stuff. We actually got a mode of historical battle, and that's pretty cool.
Yep.
That is pretty much like quite accurate in terms of like the flow of things. So yeah, that's the whole mode of it. So that can be done in the way you want. Can show to the screen stuff, whatever.
Okay, gentleman over here, thanks.
John, have any of you tried the Oculus Rift, and is there any possibility that there might be some kind of implementation in Rome?
So I have an Oculus Rift. I got one a few weeks ago when they started shipping to the UK. I've been doing a bit of sort of experimentation with that in my own time. It's a very interesting piece of hardware. As for what we could do with it in Total War, I'm not sure. I think certainly we are aware of the Rift, and people at work are aware of the Rift. There's a number of people at work that have them now, so it's something that we might look at in the future. I don't think I can. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. There's currently no plans to support Oculus Rift with.
I mean, it's obviously, obviously the strength of the Oculus Rift is.
Pretty much, we have a few of them lying around, and we definitely gonna play with it and think about what the best for the game.
If there's a potential, if it makes sense for Total War, then certainly we might look at that.
What I can say is it's transformed our lunchtime TF2 sessions.
It would be pretty cool, actually. Okay, any more questions over here? We've got some more over here. There was a flurry of hands on this side. So. Okay, wait, this is the last question. Thanks.
Will there still be the same kind of modability that the previous Total War titles have had?
The same what, sorry?
Modability, so like...
Wow.
Over to you, Greg.
So we actually have a modding summit coming up in August, so we like to kind of keep close relations with modders and get them into the studio and talk to them about what they want from the game. And obviously we'll try and support that as much as we can from the development side around building the game. So we're having those conversations. We're showing to release the assembly kit, which worked with Steam Workshop, let people make their own mods. There's loads of cool mods online for that, so it's definitely something we're aware of and we want to keep doing, so we'll see. All right, thank you very much, guys. Big round of applause to all of the chaps on the panel. Thanks to Pad, Julian, Wittawat, and Al.